is a Bronx-bound 2 local train. The next stop is Central Park North, 110th Street. This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 local train. The next stop is 72nd Street. This is a 96th Street bound 2 local train. The next stop is 72nd Street. This is a Crown Heights bound 2 train. The next stop is Hoyt Street. This is a Bronx-bound 2 local train via the Lexington Avenue line. The next stop is Fulton Street. This is a Bronx-bound 2 express train. The next stop is 14th Street. This is a 149th Street bound 2 train. The next stop is Allerton Avenue. This is a South Ferry bound 2 local train. The next stop is 23rd Street. This is a Brooklyn College Flatbush Avenue bound 2 train. The next stop is Hoyt Street.
This is a Gun Hill Road bound 2 local train.
The next stop is Burke Avenue. This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 express train. The next stop is 86th Street. This is a Manhattan-bound 2 local train. The next stop is West Farm Square, East Tremont Avenue. This is a Manhattan-bound 2 train via the Lexington Avenue line. The next stop is 125th Street. This is a New Lots Avenue-bound 2 train. The next stop is Pennsylvania Avenue. This is a Wakefield-bound 2 local train. The next stop is Pelham Parkway. This is a 96th Street-bound 2 express train. The next stop is Times Square, 42nd Street. This is an Atlantic Avenue-bound 2 train. The next stop is
Franklin Avenue, Medgar Evers College.
This is a 149th Street bound 2 local train. The next stop is Houston Street. This is an Eastchester Dyer Avenue bound 2 train. The next stop is Pelham Parkway. This is a Manhattan bound 2 express train. The next stop is 3rd Avenue, 149th Street. This is a Bronx-bound 2 express train via the Lexington Avenue line. The next stop is 86th Street.
This is a 3rd Avenue, 149th Street bound 2 local train.
The next stop is Burke Avenue. This is a Harlem 148th Street bound 2 express train. The next stop is 72nd Street. This is an Atlantic Avenue bound 2 express train. The next and last stop is Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. This is a Brooklyn College Flatbush Avenue bound 2 local train. The next stop is Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. This is an East 180th Street bound 2 train. The next stop is Freeman Street. This is a Wakefield bound 2 express train. The next stop is East 180th Street. This is a Manhattan-bound 3 train. The next stop is Wall Street.
This is a Bronx-bound 4 local train.
The next stop is Bleecker Street.
This is a Bedford Park Boulevard bound 4 train.
The next stop is
Kingsbridge Road. This is a Woodlawn bound 4 train. The next and last stop is... This is a 125th Street bound 4 train.
The next stop is
Bedford Park Boulevard, Lehman College. This is a Manhattan bound 4 train. The next stop is... This is a 161st Street, Yankee Stadium bound 4 train.
The next stop is
149th Street, Grand Concourse. This is a Brooklyn Bridge bound 4 local train.
The next stop is
68th Street, Hunter College.
This is a Manhattan bound 4 local train.
The next stop is
Borough Hall. This is a Bronx-bound 4 express train.
The next stop is
14th Street, Union Square.
This is a 3rd Avenue, 138th Street bound 4 train via the 6th line. The next and last stop is
3rd Avenue, 138th Street. This is a Grand Central bound 4 local train.
The next stop is
103rd Street. This is a Crown Heights bound 4 train.
The next stop is Atlantic Avenue, Barclays Center.
This is a Manhattan bound 4 express train.
The next stop is Atlantic Avenue, Barclays Center.
This is a Brooklyn bound 4 local train.
The next stop is
110th Street. This is a Burnside Avenue bound 4 local train.
The next stop is
161st Street, Yankee Stadium. This is a Woodlawn bound 4 express train.
The next stop is
Burnside Avenue. This is a Brooklyn bound 4 express train. The next stop is
This is a Manhattan-bound 4 train via the 6th line. The next stop is
125th Street. This is a Burnside Avenue bound 4 express train.
The next and last stop is
Burnside Avenue. This is a Bowling Green bound 4 train.
The next stop is
Fulton Street. This is a Grand Central bound 4 express train.
The next stop is
86th Street. This is an Atlantic Avenue bound 4 train.
The next stop is Nevins Street.
This is a New Lots Avenue bound 4 local train.
The next stop is Nevins Street.
This is a Bowling Green bound 4 local train.
The next stop is
Grand Central, 42nd Street. This is a Crown Heights bound 4 express train. The next and last stop is This is a New Lots Avenue bound 4 express train.
The next stop is
Franklin Avenue, Medgar Evers College.
This is a Bronx bound 5 train.
The next stop is
Fulton Street. This is an East 180th Street bound 5 train.
The next stop is 3rd Avenue, 149th Street.
This is a Crown Heights bound 5 train.
The next stop is Borough Hall.
This is a New Lots Avenue bound 5 train.
The next stop is Pennsylvania Avenue.
This is a Manhattan bound 5 train.
The next stop is Beverly Road.
This is a Brooklyn College Flatbush Avenue bound 5 train.
The next stop is Nevins Street.
This is an Eastchester bound 5 train.
The next stop is
Morris Park. This is an Reed Avenue bound 5 train.
The next stop is Bronx Park East.
This is a Grand Central bound 5 express train.
The next stop is
59th Street. This is a Bowling Green bound 5 train.
The next stop is
Wall Street.
This is a Bronx bound 5 local train.
The next stop is 219th Street.
This is a Brooklyn College Flatbush Avenue bound 5 express train.
The next stop is
Franklin Avenue, Medgar Evers College.
This is a Bronx bound 5 express train.
The next stop is
Grand Central, 42nd Street. This is a Brooklyn bound 5 train.
The next stop is
Borough Hall. This is a Reed Avenue bound 5 local train.
The next stop is Burke Avenue.
This is a Brooklyn Bridge bound 5 local train.
The next stop is
51st Street. This is an East 180th Street bound 5 local train.
The next stop is 149th Street Grand Concourse.
This is a Crown Heights bound 5 express train.
The next stop is
Franklin Avenue, Medgar Evers College.
This is a Bowling Green bound 5 local train.
The next stop is Brooklyn Bridge, City Hall.
This is a Bronx-bound 5 express train via the 7th Avenue line. The next stop is 72nd Street. This is a Brooklyn-bound 5 express train via the 7th Avenue line.
The next stop is 14th Street.
This is a Manhattan-bound 5 local train.
The next stop is 149th Street Grand Concourse.
This is an Eastchester, Dyer Avenue bound 5 local train.
The next stop is 149th Street Grand Concourse.
This is an East 180th Street bound 5 express train. The next and last stop is East 180th Street. This is an Eastchester bound 5 express train.
The next stop is East 180th Street.
This is a Reed Avenue bound 5 express train. The next stop is East 180th Street. This is a New Lots Avenue bound 5 express train.
The next stop is
Franklin Avenue, Medgar Evers College.
This is a Bronx bound 6 local train.
The next stop is
Canal Street. This is a Brooklyn Bridge bound 6 train.
The next stop is
51st Street. This is a Manhattan bound 6 train.
The next stop is
125th Street. This is a Brooklyn Bridge bound 6 local train.
The next stop is
96th Street. This is a 3rd Avenue 138th Street bound 6 train.
The next and last stop is
3rd Avenue 138th Street. This is a 125th Street bound 6 local train.
The next stop is
Canal Street.
This is a Pelham Bay Park bound 6 train making express stops in the Bronx.
The next stop is
Canal Street.
This is a Queens-bound 7 local train. The next stop is Grand Central, 42nd Street. This is a Queensboro Plaza-bound 7 train. The next stop is 69th Street.
This is a Metz Willets Point bound 7 local train. The next stop is Court Square.
This is a Flushing Main Street bound 7 local train.
The next stop is Hunters Point Avenue.
This is a Manhattan-bound 7 local train.
The next stop is Junction Boulevard.
This is a Queens-bound 7 express train. The next stop is Grand Central, 42nd Street.
This is a 74th Street Broadway-bound 7 local train. The next and last stop is 74th Street, Broadway. This is a Vernon Boulevard, Jackson Avenue, bound 7 train. The next and last stop is Vernon Boulevard, Jackson Avenue.
This is a Flushing Main Street bound 7 express train. The next stop is Junction Boulevard.
This is a 111th Street bound 7 local train.
The next and last stop is 111th Street. This is a Metz Willets Point bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Metz Willets Point. This is a Times Square bound 7 local train. The next and last stop is Times Square, 42nd Street. This is a Manhattan-bound 7 skip-stop train. The next stop is 82nd Street, Jackson Heights.
This is a Times Square 42nd Street bound 7 train.
The next and last stop is Times Square, 42nd Street. This is a Woodside 61st Street bound 7 local train. The next stop is Metz Willets Point. This is a Grand Central 42nd Street bound 7 train. The next and last stop is Grand Central 42nd Street.
This is a Flushing Main Street bound 7 skip-stop train. The next stop is 33rd Street. This is a Manhattan-bound 7 express train. The next stop is 74th Street, Broadway.
This is a Metz Willets Point bound 7 skip-stop train. The next stop is 33rd Street. This is a 34th Street Hudson Yards bound 7 train. The next stop is Times Square, 42nd Street.